How deep should a swimming pool be? Well, it kind of depends on the kind of pool that you are talking about and what it's going to be used for. For example, an above ground pool commonly is about 4 feet, 48 inches deep. Sometimes 52 inches is an option, but that's kind of the spectrum there. It's not really usually more than that. So, moving on from that, what about a sport pool? This is a type of pool that's growing in popularity. It's deep in the middle and it's shallow on both ends. And this allows you to have a deep end for treading water and playing around, but the two shallow ends facilitate easier hangout space, playing games like volleyball and stuff like that. And a lot of people find that more attractive. Most people don't realize that the shallow end is where most of your time is spent in the swimming pool, whereas the deep end comprises most of the space. So it takes up all the surface area, but everyone just ends up hanging out in the shallow end anyway, kind of waiting around, standing there in the shallow water. So the sport pool is kind of an interesting option. And normally, you would have about a 5 foot depth for something like that. And it again really depends on the kind of pool that you're building. You could be as shallow as 3.5 feet on both sides. And then about 5 foot in the middle. Again, that would be pretty common for a sport pool. So what about a pool that you just want to use for swimming? Like it's just a regular swimming pool. It's nothing strange or fancy, but I do want to be able to go swimming in it and I don't want to be banging my knees and feet off the bottom. And conventionally speaking, we would normally approach that with about a 6 foot deep swimming pool. Of course, you're still going to have a shallow one, which is probably going to be about 3.5 feet, but the deep end maxing out at about 6 feet. So what about diving? What about diving in swimming pools? Well, I have to say, first of all, diving in swimming pools is dangerous. You have to be extremely careful, and the rules surrounding how deep a pool has to be in order to have a diving board be safe or allowed by code. Um, it's more complicated than just saying a depth. I can't just say, oh, it's this depth and that's it, because there are more factors. There's things like the side slopes, the long slope, how tall the diving board is, the length of the pool, the diving envelope. All of these things are incredibly important, and they're important for a reason. So while I'm going to give you a number here, it isn't just like, oh yeah, now you can go and do it and you're good to install a diving board. That's not how it works. But typically speaking, 8 to 9 feet as a minimum depth is what you would have in a swimming pool that's going to be used for residential diving applications. If you found this information helpful, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you can check out my website, swimmingpoolsteve.com.